Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. Day 14 of the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris presidency, and this is your news blurb. In almost 2 weeks now as president, Joe Biden has given millions to everyone else except Americans. He's taken away jobs from Americans and given them to everyone else. He's taken what would have been a clean, plentiful source of energy for the U.S. and deferred to keeping America dependent on foreign sources of energy at the environmental cost of getting it shipped to and throughout America. He's implemented almost 40 executive orders aimed at nothing but destroying anything and everything Trump accomplished. And while COVID-19 surges throughout our country worse than ever, Joe Biden is making it seem like it's nothing to worry about and that there's nothing else he can do about it. Is this what you wanted, Democrats? Is this what you asked for? Meanwhile, with the Democrats in full control of the Capitol, what are they doing? What are they actually doing? Absolutely nothing. Aside from working towards impeaching a man who's no longer even in office for reasons that they're not even willing to hold themselves accountable for. Just remember, kids, it's okay to incite violence, as long as you're a liberal. It also seems like AOC, everyone knows who that is not only fully on board with impeachment, she is on a mission to use her superb acting skills to make it seem like Republicans all want her dead, cops want her dead, even the squirrel outside her office probably wants her dead. Just ask her, and you're bound to get nothing but an Academy Award-winning performance vying for your sympathy.
And so I look through this door hinge, and I see this white man in a black beanie.
They always got to bring the race in. White man in a black beanie. Is that the most ominous thing you could say at that moment?
Just open the door of my personal office and come inside the personal office.
Well, yeah, during an emergency situation, they usually just come through doors.
And yell again, "Where is she?" And I have never been quieter in my entire life. I was just...
That might be the only thing I can believe that she has said so far.
I don't even know if I held my breath, but I was just, here behind there, and I just started sliding down. And then all of a sudden I hear my staffer G yell out. And he's like, hey. It's okay. Come out. So I'm so deeply rattled. I'm still processing the end of my life.
I'm still processing the end of my life.
I come out. And I come out, and this man is a Capitol Police officer.
Ooh, the plot thickens.
But the story doesn't end.
Of course it doesn't.
It's a Capitol Police officer. There was no partner. Was not yelling, Capitol Police, etc., etc. But then it didn't feel right.
During an emergency situation like that, at what point does anything actually feel right? And what does the fact that this officer did not have a partner have anything to do with any of this? You realize how spread thin all of those officers were that day? And how many civilians and how many politicians and people like you are in that building? So yeah, they're spread a little thin. They may not be walking around with a couple partners here and there.
because he was looking at me with a tremendous amount of anger and hostility.
What, are you a Jedi now? You can sense anger and hostility inside human beings?
And things weren't adding up. Like, there was no partner there. And
again, don't care about the fact that the officer didn't bring a partner in.
No one was yelling. He wasn't yelling like, this is Capitol Police, this is Capitol Police. And he was looking at me in all of this anger and hostility. And at first, you know, in my brain and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I just came from this super...
Yes, he's probably not happy about the fact that he is now having to defend people like you against everyday American citizens. It's not really what he signed up for.
Intense experience just now. Maybe I'm reading into this, right? Like, maybe I'm projecting like something onto him that like, maybe I'm just seeing anger, but maybe he's not trying to be angry.
Second most honest thing you've said this entire time.
But I talked to G, my legislative director, after the fact, and he said, no, I didn't know if he was there to help us or hurt us either.
Because apparently he is also a Jedi that can read minds.
And G was actually like, this man came with so much hostility that G was sizing him up and didn't know if he was going to have to fight him.
Okay. He came in with anger and hostility. How would you like a police officer to walk into a room in an emergency situation like this? You want him to come storming in like a big, giant, gentle teddy bear of sensitivity and politeness? It's not really their job. He had a situation, an emergency situation, and he had a job to do. The police officers are told to be direct, to be to speak plainly, to speak clearly, and to speak loud enough so that everyone can hear and understand them. That's what they're told. They are not told to portray this degree of softness and kindness, and that doesn't get you anywhere in emergency situations like this. You can ask anyone that has to deal with emergency situations. The softness in that voice does not do anything in those situations.
Like, that is how like aggressive the situation was in that moment. And we couldn't even tell, we couldn't read if like this was a good situation or a...
You're not supposed to read into it. You're just supposed to do what they tell you. I know you may have a problem with this, but you're just supposed to do what they tell you in those situations. That's what you pay them for. That's what all taxpayers pay them for.
Bad situation. It was so, like, you know, like so many other communities in this country, like just that presence doesn't necessarily give you a clear signal if you're safe or not. And so the situation did not feel okay. And then he just looks at me and yells at me, and he just go down and then go to this other building. I'm not gonna like name the specific building, but he basically says, go down and go to this building. But he just says the name of the building. Doesn't say anything else. But we're so rattled in that moment. And the situation felt so volatile with this officer.
It's volatile, not volatile.
That I run over, I grab my bag, and we just start running over to that building. Now, mind you, we weren't escorted. He didn't like come.
Okay. I mean, aside from all of the absolute lunacy and ridiculousness in her voice, I think she might have a career in acting when all of this is said and done and the politics have gotten the best of her and she leaves. She might have a career in acting afterwards. But nevertheless, she is absolutely insane. 100% couple loaves short of a baker's dozen, couple bulbs short of a full pack, whatever you want to call it. AOC is insane.